I heard you like short, easy to understand, and straight to the point guide. Here are 20 actually useful things in Crimson Desert that most likely you didn't know about. Silver is an important currency for pretty much every transaction in the game, and you can honestly never have enough. While there are regular ways you can farm silver by just playing the game, the easiest and fast way is by investing gold in a bank. For that, you will need gold bars, which if you use social media, you probably know how to get large amounts of them by stealing it from the nobles right here. But that's not what I wanted to show. When you deposit gold bars into the bank, make sure you pick the high risk option. Then come back few minutes before the refresh, which is indicated right here under applied in. You will make a new save file, wait for the refresh, and if it's a high green number, you let it be and come back again for the next refresh and repeat the process. This way you eliminate RNG and you load back that same save if your investment goes negative. As you can see, I managed to turn 5 gold bars into 23, and then one time I forgot to save, I lost quite a lot. There are all kinds of different enemies that carry all kinds of cool weapons that you can't really obtain anywhere else that easy. For example, a flame spear or a flamethrower or some weapons that have cool abyss gears on it that you can farm. By using a one-handed weapon and a shield, you can very easily disarm every enemy, which will make them drop the weapon on the ground, which you can then pick up and use against them. To disarm an enemy of your choice, hold up your shield block, wait for an enemy to hit your shield, and after that just press the heavy attack button, which will do a shield bash attack, and you can see the weapon flying off from the enemy. There are some very cool weapons that you can get this way, and the easiest way to farm abyss gear. Food is probably the most important item you will need to progress. It is the only way you can heal yourself during stressful boss fights, and trust me, you will need a lot of it. While you buy prepared food from the merchants and also buy ingredients from all of them to cook your own food, it will become tedious to go around every city and buy the ingredients manually every in-game day. That is why progressing your Greyman camp is very important, as eventually you will unlock a livestock farm. When you unlock it, fill it up with farm animals. You can max out Trust with Ben in your camp to get baby pigs, or with Bremer at Muckroot Ranch to gain access to buy calf. But you can also bring farm animals from the world itself by carrying it to the ranch. It is important that you always have male and female of the same species, as they will breed. These baby animals will then grow into either a male or a female and breed again in a never-ending circle. When your initial male and female animals breed until it fully fills up your farm, simply slaughter them for all the meat and leave only baby animals. This way you just created an endless amount of meat output that you will then use to cook food for your progression. You only need to bring male and female animals once, after that meat output is automated. There are some really hard bosses in the game that will require both gear and skill to defeat. But every single boss has one very specific mechanic they do that makes the fights 100 times easier. Every boss will periodically have this red glint showing. You saw this red glint many times, and you probably thought that this means the boss is preparing for a devastating attack that cannot be blocked. That is true, but it works in a quite the opposite way as well. The red glint is the boss signaling that it is vulnerable and you can stun it with Blinding Flash into a Blinding Flash finisher. Some of the bosses can also be stunned with a Force Palm. And if you miss the stun either with a Blinding Flash or a Force Palm, the boss does the unblockable devastating attack. This has a very tight window to interrupt the attack, which I was only able to do once on the accident, so good luck with hitting it. Another useful trick for both boss fights and large groups of normal enemies is using your block button to change targets or soft lock onto a different target. There are many bosses that will spawn shadow copies of themselves, or they will go invisible and teleport behind you, leaving you exposed without being able to turn the camera around fast enough. And let's be honest, the camera turning and lock on isn't the greatest in those scenarios. But as soon as the boss disappears and reappears somewhere else, just tap the block key and your camera will instantly turn around where the boss is and lock onto it. It also works great when fighting large groups of normal enemies. A lot of the times while comboing a group of enemies, you will lose the lock and your character will just start comboing the wall. With spamming block mid combos, you will continuously turn around and always target some enemy that is close by. This is really useful if you're playing high attack speed dual wield build. As you're playing the game, you will encounter many NPCs and vendors. You can earn trust with all of them. Eventually, you will want to have 100 trust with every single vendor in the city. The reason for that is that once you reach 100 trust with, for example, a vendor that sells weapons, armors, and ores, they will have this permit item in their shop that you can buy, then use, which will give the NPC in your Greyman camp permits to sell these exact same weapons and items that only the vendor sells. This works for butchers, inn, provision merchants, tannery. They all give you permits to buy their items in your camp, sold by your fellow Greymans. The fastest way to get 100 trust is by selecting this gift option, which will open up your inventory and highlight all the items you have in the inventory that the vendor wants, also indicating how much trust they will give you per one. Some want silver pouches, some want to use recipes and knowledge books, some want food or hide. But eventually you will want all at 100 trust, so you can have all the vendors in one place, your camp. Speaking of NPCs in your camp, by now you probably know how the dispatch system works by sending the Greymans you recruit on missions to either farm, mine, do security, or build something. What you probably notice after you send them on a mission is that they disappear from your camp. This is not a bug, this is intended as they physically go to the location and they do the work there and you can actually see them there working. But you can also send them to fight in occupied territory like camps and forts to liberate them for you. But the best part here is that when you send them to clear out a fort, you can join them and fight with them. This significantly speeds up the progress to liberating the fort. Here I selected my 10 strongest Greymans to liberate this area. After sending them, I teleported there and they went hard on the enemies. After I joined in, we liberated it very quickly. Just remember how long it took you to liberate Karin Quarry alone. Well, you could have sent some of your Greymans to fight with you. Speaking of fighting alongside your Greymans, you can take this a step further. 90% of your playthrough will be with Cliff, but eventually you will be able to switch to Damian or Unka. They are not as good or fun to play as Cliff, to me at least, but you can still make use of them. Using the character wheel and hovering over one of the two characters, in this case Damian, you will see a button that says Summon. After pressing that button, your character will be teleported to the nearby Abyss Nexus, and there you will also see Damian. She follows you around and is pretty much alongside you until you disband the group. But the best part is that she literally follows you everywhere on her own horse, and if you move far away from her, the game teleports her near you. You then take her and take Unka and go to a fort which your Greymans have started liberating and just enjoy an army of your own NPCs fighting with you side by side and destroying enemies. I don't think it gets better than this. Horse taming mechanic sucks, we can all agree on that. When I tried to tame my first horse, I simply gave up as nothing I was doing worked. But there is one simple trick that you can do that will make taming horses very tame. Pun intended. The mechanic works the way that you need to hold one of the directional buttons the opposite way of where the horse is looking. But you can cheese it by holding down the forward key and then turning the camera so it faces backwards. So if the horse is pulling left, you hold the forward key and then turn the camera left, which will then look like the horse is pulling backwards and you are of course holding the opposite key. Every time a horse pulls in a different direction, just turn the camera that same way, facing backward while holding the forward key. When you clear out sanctums, aside from finding the treasure chest or completing the puzzle to cleanse the sanctum, there is another hidden mini puzzle. Every sanctum has this part. Use a blinding flash and shine a light in the middle of this blue rock. The outer layer with many golden rocks will start spinning. Straight above there is a small blue rock. You need to hold the light shine as the yellow rocks are passing to the small blue rock and turn off the light when they are not. Completing this will give you an item that you will want to use Axiom Force on and seal it inside your cuckoo pot. These are very useful items for crafting some powerful endgame gear and items. Now I'm going to do some rapid fire round of tips and tricks. Located right here in your camp, there is a targeted dummy that you can use to practice your skills, test your new Abyss gear, learn new combos, practice with new weapons and get used to combat overall. Make sure you save every single Abyss gear you get, because you can use the bad ones that you don't need to RNG craft the higher tier ones. But also after you unlock every witch, in their shops you can find blueprints to craft specific Abyss gear like attack speed, critical or attack ones. With that blueprint, you can combine extra tier 1 into tier 2 and then into tier 3. As you can see, I have many tier 3 abyss gears slotted in. When you are doing any sort of puzzle that requires you to use axiom force to push something in by using force palm, to know exactly when an item is in a good place and can be pushed in, just look at these green small leaves flying around an item. Speaking of puzzles, you should 100% complete all the puzzles that are required to unlock all the elemental imbues. They are hard and they require a lot of time and work, but guides exist and they will make it easy. But there is one specific puzzle, which is the very last one before unlocking the fire element. Instead of trying to align these pillars manually, you start on the right side, move it left until the 3 pillars you are moving get a yellow ring glow at the bottom. Then jump on the top of the biggest pillar, crouch and spam force palm until the puzzle completes. Stats like crit, attack speed and movement speed all have diminishing returns when you push it to higher levels. The best gain you get for each stat is by going from level 0 to level 2. Every level after that will have least and least impact, as level 2 crit gives you around 15%, while level 15 gives you around 26% crit chance. Also, putting critical and attack abyss gears on gloves and boots doesn't affect the critical of your weapons. It only affects it for unarmed combat. But you can put attack speed on gloves and boots because attack speed abyss gear works for all the weapons. Also, attack and critical attack stats on every accessory counts as double for whatever reason. If you have 2 attack and 1 crit rate on a necklace, it will count as 4 attack and level 2 crit, as you can see when I unequip and equip it. And that's it. Let me know in the comments if you learned something new, and as always, thank you for watching and consider subscribing.